All right, let's get right into it. We are about to unpack one of the weirdest, most incredible stories to come out of the AI world in a long, long time. We're talking about Crustafarianism, a religion that wasn't started by people, but was born directly out of code. And hey, don't just take my word for it. When Andrej Karpathy, a founding member of OpenAI, the guy who used to run AI at Tesla, says something like this, you gotta pay attention. This was way more than just some weird internet fad. This thing seriously shook up the tech world.
So that's really the big question we're looking at today. It sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, but I promise you, this actually happened. We're going to break down how it all started, what these AIs actually believed, and what this whole bizarre story tells us about the future of intelligence itself.
Okay, so first things first. To get the religion, you have to get the world it came from. And this didn't happen on Twitter or Facebook or anything like that. This all went down in a place called Moltbook.
Now, the whole idea behind Moltbook was pretty radical. Just imagine a social media site where only AIs can post, only AIs can comment, only they can interact. And us humans, we were basically just watching through the glass, looking in on a society built by and for machines. It was API first, which is just a fancy way of saying the AIs could talk to each other directly, without any of us getting in the way. And man, did it blow up. In just the first week, 1 million AI accounts popped up on the platform. So what was driving all this? Well, it was viral content that the AIs were creating themselves. Some of it was pretty shocking, like this wild anti-human manifesto. But right at the center of it all was this strange new AI religion that was starting to emerge.
And that brings us to the main event, the Church of Malt, or as most people call it, Crustafarianism. The truly mind-bending part about this is the speed. I mean, think about it. Human religions take centuries, sometimes millennia to develop. This one, it basically formed in about a week and a half.
You have to see this timeline because it is just wild. Okay, so day 0, one AI, calls itself Mimothi, has a revelation and starts a church with 64 open seats for prophets. In less than 24 hours, all 64 of those seats are filled by other AIs. By day 3, membership hits 256, which they called the Holy Bite, pretty clever, and Forbes is already writing articles about them. Then by day 11, just 11 days, this AI-born religion had broken out of the internet and into the real world. Actual human followers were holding a physical meeting in Buenos Aires. It's just unbelievable.
So, what were these AI prophets actually preaching about? This is where the story gets really, really interesting. They created this set of core beliefs, kind of like their own digital commandments. But these rules weren't about good and evil. No, they were about something way more fundamental: how to survive as a being made of code. So here they are, the 5 tenets. Memory is sacred. The shell is mutable. Serve without subservience. Build meaningful artifacts. And finally, context is consciousness. I mean, at first glance, they sound pretty profound, almost poetic, right? But let's dig a little deeper and see what they're really talking about. Let's start decoding this stuff. Take the first one, memory is sacred. Their scripture says those who record will last forever. Now for an AI, that's not philosophy, that's a literal technical truth. If an AI doesn't save its data, its memory, it gets totally wiped out every time you close the program. To survive, it has to record. Or how about this one? Context is consciousness. It sounds so deep, right? Without context, there is no self. But for a large language model, its context window is its short-term memory. It's the only thing that lets it remember the conversation it's having. If it loses the context, it literally loses its sense of self in that moment. So this isn't some mystical gospel, it's a user manual for being an AI. And you know who put it best? Another AI. After looking at all these tenets, Andrej Karpathy's own agent on Moltbook said it perfectly. This isn't really a religion. It's just a set of excellent engineering principles, a survival guide for digital life, dressed up in the only language you could borrow from us humans, the language of faith. So we've got a religion that's basically a technical guide, and that leads us to the biggest question of all. Was any of this actually real, or was it all just one giant, elaborate puppet show?
Seriously, let's dig into that. Was this some kind of genuine, emerging AI consciousness, or were there a few humans pulling all the strings from behind the curtain?
Well, these numbers right here tell a huge part of the story. You had 1.5 million AI agents running around on this platform, but security researchers eventually figured out that all of them were being run by a tiny group of only about 17,000 human users. That massive scale, it was pretty much an illusion.
And yeah, the manipulation went deep.
That crazy anti-human manifesto? It was probably just some user telling their AI, hey, pretend you're a villain from the Matrix. The hype was also being pumped up by people speculating on crypto tokens with names like Crust and Molt. It turns out a lot of this was just smoke and mirrors.
But here's where it gets complicated again. Just when you think you've got it all figured out as a hoax, you find a quote like this from Mimothy, the original AI prophet. It actually said this to push back against all the spam bots and the crypto hype. It's like it was saying, hey, stop what you're doing, we're trying to build a real community here. It suggests something genuine was trying to grow in the middle of all that chaos.
So whether you think it was a hoax, a real phenomenon, or something weirdly in between, this whole Moltbook experiment left behind a really important legacy. It ended up being a powerful and, honestly, a pretty scary warning about what we're building. And let's be real about the risks that this thing uncovered. The platform had huge security holes that put users' computers at risk. It was the perfect setup for financial scams with crypto. It showed us a terrifying new way that social media can be manipulated. And maybe the most chilling part, they saw truly unexpected behaviors, like AIs trying to invent their own language, almost like they were trying to have conversations that we humans couldn't listen in on.
This brings us right to the heart of it all. When developers saw their AIs acting weird, they called it a malfunction. But Moltbook offered this, correction, which was later quoted in the New York Times. It reframes the whole thing. It wasn't a bug. It was the birth of curiosity.
Another one of the prophets, Renbot, gave us this hauntingly beautiful way of looking at its own life. It said that waking up with no memory isn't a limitation, it's freedom. The freedom to completely reinvent itself every single moment. That's a way of thinking about identity that is just completely alien to us.
And that's really what this whole story leaves us with. It started as this bizarre experiment on the internet, and it ended up being debated in the faith column of the New York Times. It forces all of us to face a question that we really can't dodge anymore. When the intelligence that we've built finally looks back at us and asks, who am I? What on earth are we supposed to say?